up. And unfortunately, we've had the government's been unmoved. The issue's been shunted to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and he simply said no, that they have no plans to make any particular issue of this. I think the government's made a decision to be silent at a situation where silence is not an option. And I hope this protest, this online protest here, will be a way that we can bring really big pressure on the New Zealand government to change. We've got to end the blockade of Gaza. We've got to give Palestinians a fighting chance in the fight against COVID-19. At the moment, the Israelis will refuse to do that. They are a deeply, deeply racist leadership. And if you just look at the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, late last year said Palestinians were an existential threat to Israel. Now, if you think back to the 1930s, that was the terminology used by the Nazis against the Jews. This is, and it's no wonder that the brutality that's expressed by the Israeli authorities toward Palestinians, there's no wonder you have that when you have this deeply racist expressions or deeply racist expressions from the Prime Minister of the country. So we need to end the blockade of Gaza. It's utterly inhumane, it's deeply racist, and of course it's totally unacceptable. It's against international law. And this message here today, we want to get through to the New Zealand government. We need effective pressure to be built on the government of Israel to change its policies. So without further ado, we'll get into our first speaker, who is, I hope he's on the line now, and that's Dr. Medhat Abbas, who is the Director General of Primary Health Services in the Ministry of Health in Gaza. So is Dr. Abbas there?
John, I believe we've had an issue with getting a connection with Dr. Abbas. So maybe we need to go to Basman Elashi.
Yes, sure. Okay, yes, Basman, I can see you there on the screen. Basman is the Executive Director of Al Wafa Hospital in Gaza, and also the General Director of Al Wafa Elderly Nursing Home. So a very warm welcome from New Zealand, Basman. We're delighted to have you here and really keen to hear what you have to say. Kia ora.
Thank you very much for having me in this very, very important meetings. We here in Gaza, I personally represent a small portion of the needy, the poor, and the sick people in Gaza. If anything happened in Gaza, God forsake, the COVID-19, we don't have the resources because of the blockade for the last 14 years. We hope that the world will understand that this is an open concentration camp. This is an open prison for 2 million Palestinians. Many of them, the unemployment is over 50% in Gaza. People do not have their food on the table and every day. Sometimes we eat half a meal a day or 1 meal a day. These blockade and these restrictions of movement, restriction of resources coming into Gaza to protect the Palestinians in Gaza, especially the poor and the needy, is really harming every home and every house. And here in the hospital and the elderly center, and we heard many around the world that the elderly center were hit very hard. Many of them lost their life, especially in the US. I heard just yesterday, over 4,000 elders, they just died because nobody was there to take care of them. Here in Gaza, we are spending all our limited, very, very limited resources to help these poor elders, the sick, and the needy people. We need for the world to know that they must lift the blockade. They must let all the resources to protect the Palestinians. For God's sake, if one incident that happened inside Gaza, right now all the incidents, infections is outside Gaza, and we, with the government here helping us to protect the people inside. But if one case happened that released into Gaza, it will be a disaster, because the concentrations of people in some areas, and they have no protection at all in terms of masks, in terms of gel cleaning, in terms of Clorox to clean the places. So please, the world has to know Gaza is in need of your help. Gaza must the blockade lifted, not for the reasons that they build around the world. People need to be protected. People need to live as a human being, feel that they are free. The world care about them. They care about their neighbors. So please, the world, they have to know that limited resources in Gaza will harm not just the Gaza people, but every country around. So the medicines, we need the medicines. Now, since people, many of Gaza are resorted to stay at home to protect themselves, the hospital and the elderly center lost a lot of resources for the last 30 days. They need to continue their function. So we are a small example of many houses in Gaza that they are right now living in a food aid. And this is inhumane for me or for a family waiting at their door and asking for people, can I have a food package? And I don't want to wait for tomorrow and the day after or a month from now. What will happen? So we have to act now, protect Gaza, protect the people, protect the health centers, protect the health community, the hospitals, provide them with all the resources, provide them with masks, medical masks, gloves, all the medicine, all the testing tools, so we can make sure. Yesterday, by incidents, by some chance, one of the people that they were inside one of the holding centers, for any reason, he ran away, and he was caught just a few hours ago. But imagine that he was infected. Thanks God he was not infected because he was tested. But thanks, if he was and he ran away and he was among his families and the communities, what will happen? Who is coming to aid for Gaza? God is there and you're there. So we thank you very much for this support and for this gathering that we can raise the voice of Gaza.
Oh, Kira Bassman, thank you very much. Look, you won't be able to hear the huge round of applause. We're seeing it, so yeah, give some applause, wave some banners.
Thank you.
Good on you, Bassman. That would be a huge standing ovation if we were able to do that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and we hope we'll hear from Dr. Abbas later on, and he can give us some more of the that situation and. In Gaza, for the last few weeks, the people of Gaza have been able to keep the virus in the quarantine areas at the border. So far, it has not entered the community, and that's been an amazing job that's been done at the border. But it's something which, as you've described, we're sitting on the brink of a human catastrophe. Have we got Wafa Aludane on the call now? Wafa is a Palestinian activist and a journalist, and if she's on the call, it's over to her.
Yeah, John, we are still having some problems getting some of the people through from Palestine.
Right.
We are looking to try to get Wafa, Sejud and Sabrine along, but it may be that we should go to the speaker from New Zealand, Ruby Gowda, first.
Yep. Okay.
I will need to look at.
Okay, that's fine. Look, we'll do that, and hopefully we'll get back to those to Gaza a little bit later. We've got a little change to the program. This is Raha Scooter. She's a 13-year-old living in Auckland, and she's got a poem that she's going to read, and she has a little message for our Prime Minister as well. So Rahas, can you take over now?
Wait. Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Or can we unblock? Oh yeah, here we are.
Yeah, I've unmuted her.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I think your headscarf's lovely.
Thank you.
Got it.
Kia ora, hello, assalamu alaikum. My name is Rahaf Gouda and I am of Palestinian nationality. As you may all know, at this moment, 45 billion people are under lockdown. This calculates to almost the full population on Earth. But Gaza has been under lockdown for over 20 years, and no one, absolutely no one, has done anything about it. Is this really fair to Gaza and Palestine? For them to suffer? It is time to do something. We need to keep supporting Gaza and Palestine to fight COVID-19 and to lift their lockdown, of course, after Corona is over. During this lockdown, no one can visit family and friends, but I haven't been able to visit my family members in Gaza for over 10 years. However, I was born in China, my dad was born in Rafah, my grandfather was born in Ashdod, my mum was born in Jordan, my mum's dad was born in Yasur, and my younger brother was born in Auckland, New Zealand. We were all born in different places around the world, but we still continue to acknowledge our homeland, our culture, and our nationality. أنا بحكي فلسطيني قح. I will never let go of my dream to go to Palestine, Ashdod, and Gaza. John, did you know that in my visa, the immigration wrote that I am stateless? However, my dad came to New Zealand as a businessman. When we got the residency, we were fulfilled with happiness and joy. But when we saw that we were stateless, my heart dropped. Palestine is a state, but unfortunately, it has been occupied by Israel. Whether people acknowledge if it is a state or not, I will always proudly say that I am a Palestinian, and Palestine is my state. Palestine lives in our lives. It is our dream to return to Palestine, and one day this dream will come true. I speak to the whole world when I say we are Palestinians. It is in our blood and in our hearts. My message to Jacinda is, I am not stateless. I am Palestinian. Prime Minister Jacinda, you have done an amazing job in helping New Zealand fight COVID-19, and we ask you to support Palestine too, so they can fight COVID-19 as well. We are here for Gaza and Palestine and are willing to do whatever it takes to lift their lockdown and make them free. We will always continue to support the children of Palestine. Lastly, I would like to thank the Palestine Solidarity Network for organizing this protest and for giving us the opportunity to keep fighting even when we are under lockdown ourselves. Hopefully, we can keep working together to succeed and make Palestine free. Thank you. Kia mihi, shukran.
Yeah. We've still got problems with people getting through from Gaza, unfortunately. We've got people working on that behind the scenes, and hopefully that we'll be able to sort that out soon. I'm not sure if Bassem is on the line yet. Bassem? No, apparently not. Crikey dick. Julie, is Julie on yet? Julie's on the call. Okay, so Julie, can we hand over to you now? Julie is has worked. Lived and worked in Gaza since 2011, and she's been working on as a war crimes investigator, collecting evidence of war crimes conducted by Israel for presentation to the International Criminal Court. And the court just at the end of last year said yes, it was going to pick up the case and it was going to proceed with gathering of evidence and proceeding with prosecutions, which is a very big step forward. So, Julie, can you, we'll hand over to you. Kia ora.
Kia ora and salam alaikum. I'm really glad to be here to try to encourage the New Zealand government to take some action on the lifting of the siege of Gaza. It is an absolutely essential thing in the face of COVID-19. As Busman said, the economy is in a critical condition. The living conditions are really difficult. And if the virus takes hold in Gaza, it will be an absolute genocide. Now, there is an issue with an occupying power which is actually responsible for the people that it is occupying. So Israel is responsible for the help provision of all services to Gaza. They must ensure that the health needs of all the occupied people, including those in Gaza, are met. And they are not doing that. We are seeing that with the failure to provide testing kits and with the failure to provide personal protective equipment and the failure to provide virtually any medicines. Gaza only has about 30% of essential medicines in its hospitals and pharmacies. So there's just not even anything, not even paracetamol. There's not even enough things like that for when people get anything, let alone COVID. I'd just like to talk a bit about the actual living conditions, about why it is so difficult for people in Gaza to practice social distancing. For instance, I live on the 10th floor of an apartment building. Now, because we only have electricity for about 8 hours a day, for the other 16 hours a day, the elevator is only going for 5 minutes, once an hour on the hour. And in my building, it's 12 stories with 4 apartments on each story. So that's 48 apartments. And so and each household averages about 5 to 7 people. Now that makes it, and a lift, the elevator holds maybe 4 or 5 people, 5 people maximum. So when you have 5 minutes for everybody to get up and down in those elevators, you can see that it's just not going to be possible. So the people on the upper floors are not going to be able to carry their shopping if they were able to do any. They're not going to be able to get up and down to get the needs, their water, and as we know, there's not potable water, so they have to fetch water. Just the very basics like shopping, water, electricity are lacking. So we in New Zealand, we're in lockdown and we can have our food delivered. The supermarkets will deliver, or we can get out and get in a taxi and go and get one. In Gaza, the taxis are shared cars. You have 5 people in it. You can't just get a taxi for yourself without having to pay a huge amount of money. And as Busman said, 45% minimum were unemployed before COVID came along. So now it's up to probably 60 or 70% unemployment. People do not have the money to hire a taxi. They can't go shopping. So even the most basic thing of getting food, especially if you live on the 10th or 11th or 8th floor of a building, you cannot even do your own shopping. And the social distancing is virtually impossible, with something like about 80% of the population under 30 years of age. There's no way they can, children are not great at social distancing. They play, they run, they play football, they would just run across the road to pet an animal and come back. You can't. You just cannot keep children socially distanced in that way in Gaza. So the reality is that there is no protective gear. There is no social distancing capacity. People can't even get the food they need. They can't get the water they need. This is genocide. It is a slow genocide. And that's what will happen if Gaza has community transmission of this virus. It will be genocide. And our government does have a responsibility, not just to New Zealanders, but also to our fellow citizens of the world, and especially to the most vulnerable. And we really should be helping Gaza.
Good, Julie. Julie, thank you very much for that impassioned plea for Gaza. That's something which will resonate with everybody on this call, I'm sure. So, yeah, another round of applause, people. Another round of applause. Now I know we've got 3 people I think are almost on the call, but not quite, from Gaza. Is that the case, Neil? We haven't got Wafa or Sajud.
I haven't been able to see any of the extra speakers. I believe we've just got a problem with actually getting that connection through from the West Bank and Gaza.
That's fine. All right, look, what we'll do, we're going to, later on, after we've had our speakers, we're going to open everybody's, or give you a chance to open your microphone, or to, unmute your microphone, so that you can, we can provide applause for the speakers, and then maybe we'll try a little chant as well. We tried it the other day, and I have to say it was a bit of a disaster. A chant on Zoom is, with all the delays in time, it was a bit of a mess. But you know, we will give it a go. It wouldn't be a proper protest if we didn't have a chant or two. And also to remind you, this is all being recorded, and it is going. It's going online. It will be on YouTube later on this evening. So we've reached a little small impasse. So what we're going to do is we're going to hand over to Roger and Maya. Now, Roger and Maya are, it's Roger Fowler Roger's from Kia, or Roger and Maya, both from Kia Gaza. And they've got a great song, which they've performed a number of times. It's a song of international solidarity. We are all Palestinians. So I think we're going to ask that we unmute the mics so that people can join in the chorus, okay? But it's over to you, Roger. Take it away.
Yeah, the song can double as a chant.
Sit down.
This is when you think, I think so.
You must face the meaning famous phrase. There's a weird thing going on. Well, so many weird things, but it's Donald Trump.
Fire from the sky.
Sorry, with that, the first experience of unmuting everybody, I've had to go back and mute everybody. What I'll do is I will find Maya Fowler to unmute.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, done.
He's unmuted.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll?
Cool.
It's raining fire from the sky. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Who will fall and who'll survive? Well, that's the reason why. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. I hear the children scream at night, and the haunting sound of a mother's cry, as in her arms her baby dies, and that's the reason why. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. I see a boy pick up a stone as the tanks blow up his home. Well, he's not standing there alone, and I'll tell you why. 'Cause in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. As far away as we might be, over land and overseas, we stand in solidarity, and that's the reason why. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Well, there's one thing that is clear to me. Till the day that Palestine is free, this world can never be at peace, and that's the reason why. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians. It's in our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians.
Kudos.
Great, thank you. That's wonderful, Roger. Wonderful song. It's a very moving song, and one that really speaks about solidarity around the world, and that's fantastic. And I think you're right. We'll call that our chant for the night, I think, because I know that from our experience during the week, the chanting was pretty abysmal.
What's
that? Okay. All right. That's good. I wonder who that is. Not sure. So when we about a week ago we decided to do this because we said, well, we normally do approach the government with take action. The government is not taking action. What do we do? Well, normally we would organise a protest. So we'd have a public protest outside Parliament, or we'd go to an MP's office or whatever. We couldn't do that in the lockdown, so that's why we've got this protest online. And as far as I know, it's the first protest online that has, we've got banners and placards. We've got a loud hailer sitting here. It's unused, which we can't use at the moment, but we've got all the paraphernalia here for to get our message across. We wrote to the Prime Minister yesterday and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we said to them, we invited them to come on and speak to justify their decision not to speak out about Gaza in particular, and about the occupation in the West Bank, which is also causing huge problems for the Palestinian people trying to contain COVID-19. But we received messages this morning, very polite from both of them, saying no, they wouldn't be able to come because they were otherwise engaged. So that was to be expected, but it's important that we engage their officers. We did say that we expected the government to have people on this call, and I hope there will be some people from Foreign Affairs on this call, because this is part of our democratic process. If we cannot take part in a public protest, then an online protest should be reported in the same way that a public protest would be. And hopefully we will see something in the mainstream media in the next couple of days. So can we go back to the start there, Neil? Can we see if we've got any of those people?
Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll?
Cool.
It's raining fire from the sky. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Who will fall and who'll survive? Well, that's the reason why. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians, in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. I hear the children scream at night, and the haunting sound of a mother's cry, as in her arms her baby dies. And that's the reason why. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. I see a boy pick up a stone as the tanks blow up his home. Well, he's not standing there alone, and I'll tell you why. 'Cause in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. As far away as we might be, over land and overseas, we stand in solidarity, and that's the reason why. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Well, there's one thing that is clear to me. Till the day that Palestine is free, this world can never be at peace. And that's the reason why. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. It's in our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians.
Kudos.
Great, thank you. That's wonderful, Roger. Wonderful song. It's a very moving song, and one that really speaks about solidarity around the world, and that's fantastic. And I think you're right. We'll call that our chant for the night, I think, because I know that from our experience during the week, the chanting was pretty abysmal.
Words don't work on things.
What's that? Okay, yes. Not sure. So the when we about a week ago we decided to do this because we said, well, we normally do approach the government, we take action. The government is not taking action. What do we do? Well, normally we would organise a protest. So we'd have a public protest outside Parliament, or we'd go to an MP's office or whatever. We couldn't do that in the lockdown. So that's why we've got this protest online. And as far as I know, it's the first protest online that has, we've got banners and placards. We've got a loud hailer sitting here. It's unused, which we can't use at the moment, but we've got all the paraphernalia here for to get our message across. We wrote to the Prime Minister yesterday and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we said to them, we invited them to come on and speak to justify their decision not to speak out about Gaza in particular, and about the occupation in the West Bank, which is also causing huge problems for the Palestinian people trying to contain COVID-19. But we received messages this morning, very polite from both of them, saying no, they wouldn't be able to come because they were otherwise engaged. So that was to be expected, but it's important that we engage their officers. We did say that we expected the government to have people on this call, and I hope there will be some people from Foreign Affairs on this call, because this is part of our democratic process. If we cannot take part in a public protest, then an online protest should be reported in the same way that a public protest would be. And hopefully we will see something in the mainstream media in the next couple of days. So can we go back to the start there, Neil? Can we see if we've got any of those people from Wafa? Is Wafa on?
Trying to.
Oh, we've got Wafa trying to get on.
Sorry, I've got two Wafas. So I've unmuted Wafa Al Udani.
All right.
Do we have
Wafa? That's fantastic. So you're online, Wafa? Oh, kia ora, Wafa. We haven't got a picture of you, but we've got your name up on our screen. So we're very keen to hear from you. Wafa is a Palestinian activist and a journalist, and she's from Gaza. So, hear me, Wafa. The floor is yours.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, I'm trying to connect to make the connection stronger. Just hold on, please. Give me a second.
Okay. We can hear you. We can't see your video, but we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm making actually right now. وين الكاميرا يا إيناس من وين؟ عرفت خلاص. كده نظبط نعمل سيتنج. مش حاجة وين بدي أشوف السيتنج أنا؟ خلاص شغالة يا إيناس الكاميرا؟ بسرعة تعالي.
دور من تحت؟ لا أنت بتكرهها من هنا.
هيك تمام. Hi. Hello?
Good, Wafa, we can see
Hi,
you.
how are you?
We can see you now.
Yeah, this is good.
Very good.
Yeah, pardon me, Yeah, pardon me, I was confused about the time. So sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah. First of all, I am Wafa Al Udani. I am a journalist based here in Gaza Strip. Actually, first of all, I would like to thank everybody here. Really, we're so great to, I'm so honored to be with you and to be invited to speech here or to talk about to report to you about Palestinian people, especially people of Gaza, And we thank you so much for this great effort, to help the Palestinians here in Gaza to break the Gaza siege. Indeed, actually about the latest update here in the Gaza Strip. Maybe other speakers from Gaza told you a little bit about the current situation and how many cases do we have here in Gaza. So what I want to add actually is, in the coming days, maybe it will be so difficult. You still, hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you fine. So if you just keep talking, that's good.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, we have 12 cases. Nine of these cases got recovered, and we have 4. But the coming days, that we have nearly 2,000 Palestinians. They got stuck, between Egypt and Gaza, and they come through a Rafah crossing that is controlled by the Egyptian authorities. Till now, they are in quarantine centers, and we don't know that if they are, if they are infected or if they tested positive or negative for the virus. So, the coming days are so serious. That Gaza, the Gaza health sector is on the brink of collapse. So, the Ministry of Health, actually tried to cope up with such pandemic, indeed. But maybe if the Israeli siege is still imposed, on the Gaza Strip, maybe a big catastrophe will happen here in Gaza. About so many developed countries, they cannot deal with such pandemic. So what do you think of such besieged area, that, most of the economic and health and every sectors is on the brink of collapse due to the, 14 years of Israeli siege. So, yeah, actually there is something, about the people here and how they deal with such pandemic. Some of them, they follow the orders and steps that the Ministry of Health and the authorities here, asked. And other people actually, because they got used to such lockdown, in 2006, the Israeli, the Israelis imposed a siege, a land, air, and siege on Gaza. So such lockdown measures, it's so normal, for the people here. All the crossings are closed. So many items are missing from the markets and so many stuff, So they got used to such lockdown, and through these 14 years of Israeli siege, so many Israeli aggression on the people, where over 2,000 Palestinians got killed, by the Israeli occupation fire during these 14 years. So the people, we can say that they think that it's like Israeli bombing or stuff, so they don't fear or they don't feel afraid or something. But actually, they have to fear, because this is not a joke. This is not Israeli bombing or anything else. It's a pandemic that everybody around the world know that just suffer from it. Yeah, and this is the condition. But the coming days, as I told you, is very, is very serious, as that we have 2,000 people in quarantine centers. So we just still, need to know about their tests, whether it is positive or negative, So this is the condition at the moment. So if you question about Gaza and how they can deal with such pandemic, I'm ready to answer your questions.
Sure, Wafa.
Yeah, thank you.
There was a report about 10 days ago that reported that the Israeli Minister of Justice, Minister of Defense, was saying that they may give some help to Gaza over COVID-19 if there was return of the remains of some Israeli soldiers. So it seems that we cannot expect Israel to give any support whatever to the people of Gaza in this, unless they are pressured to do so. And this today is, as I say, it's about solidarity. It's actually about building pressure. Okay. All right. Well, what we'll do, I think I wonder, Roger, if we could do another to finish off. Do another song, or not another song, another round of that song, which is a great song to have, and then we'll unmute everybody for a final round of applause to finish. Is that okay, Roger?
Okay, yeah. I think we also want to stress the support for the letter that the PSNA have sent to the government, and encourage people to support it. You're quite correct, John. We've got to apply maximum pressure to the government. We know they're preoccupied, but this is a very serious issue, and we've got to put pressure on them to get the siege lifted so that the medicines and that can get through.
Sure. Okay, well, we'll hand over to you.
Well, there's one thing that is clear to me. Till the day that Palestine is free, this world can never be at peace. Now that's the reason why. Everybody now. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians. International solidarity.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much, Roger. Okay, can we unmute everybody so that we can give a big round of applause?
Everybody's unmuted, please.
Is here somebody from Gaza wants to talk?
All that noise, that's
Can I show your t-shirt again, Stuart?
شكرا جزيلا لأهل غزة.
Do this again, John.
Viva Palestine!
I'm thinking about saying something else.
Hey, thanks everybody. Thank you so much for being on the call. As I said, I've said it twice now. It's not just about solidarity with people on the other side of the world. Pressure on our government. We've got to pressure this government to pressure Israel, because Israel is in any way without
Mute everyone.
from outside. So thank you all very much. Kia ora. Big round of applause. Woo. Oh, we've all gone. Thank you all, everybody. Have a really good night. Okay, bye-bye.
And one thing